Welcome back, race fans, to another episode of Buckle Up, an ultra running conversation. Mandy, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Brian. It's winter. We got
We
our
just
first
finished.
snow.
We just finished a big holiday weekend. It is early, just after Thanksgiving. How did you guys survive Thanksgiving?
It was great. It was really cold. So I'm just getting my head wrapped around like time to embrace the freezingness of Colorado. But we had an awesome turkey trot.
Oh, I was
1,500
going to say
runners.
1,400 runners at a turkey trot, right? What was the winning time?
Oh, and
I
I
put you on the
don't
spot.
even know. You
I
put
should
me
have
on the
prepped you.
spot.
I should have prepped you for
Yeah.
that one. Was it some high school kid though? Ran like 14 and a
It
half or
was
something
it was a
crazy?
high school kid. Yeah, I want to say it
Yeah.
was 15
He was
something.
taking
I
it
don't know.
easy.
In the day, it's funny because I afterwards I should pay more attention to that, but in the moment, I'm dealing with so many
Sure.
operations. Like I'm not always at the finish
Mhm.
line when the first runner comes in. I'm like moving on to the event side of the after party and getting everyone breakfast and coffee and hot cocoa and all the things. But it was amazing. It was very, very
1,400 runners. Was it just one starting, or did you have some waves, or did you have like a non-competitive group, or just one bang and everyone goes?
just everyone goes. We try to create the start line chute so it's pretty small and narrow, and they've got like a
Mm.
half a mile on an open road before they have to file onto a trail bike path. Really,
Mm-hmm.
one big wave. My biggest race yet. It was insane. I think the video of the start line. It's 6 minutes of runners crossing the
Mm.
start line, which to the Boston Marathon isn't a lot, but to me, I was like, this is going on forever. So we were
It's
really
like
thankful. It
Windsor's
was great.
Boston Marathon. It's Windsor's Boston
Yes,
Marathon.
it was for a 5K. And actually, Killian Korth was here.
Okay.
So he's been on our show a couple times, and everyone knows who Killian is. But he is, if you guys haven't caught it before, he's brothers with my good friend Conrad. So Conrad lives in Fort Collins, and Killian is near you, Brian. He came up for Thanksgiving and signed up to run with his niece, and Conrad marked the course. Killian ran.
Hmm.
And it was funny because he made a comment that he was like, this is kind of nice. Not really anybody knows me here. I'm not getting fangirled.
Mm.
And right after he said that, someone walked up to him and was like, are you Killian? Can I talk to you? Can I have your autograph? And one of my staff also came up to me and she was like, there's a guy here that looks like Killian Korth. Is
You're
Killian
like,
here?
no, it's not him. That's not him.
I was like, it
It's
is him.
It's a
But
doppelganger. It's a doppelganger.
yeah, it's just some other guy wearing pink sunglasses and crazy hair and a visor.
Was it Ellie?
Yeah, she was just pretending. So it was a fun time though. How about yours? You survived.
We survived. We actually had a turkey trot. We had, let me do the math. We had 100% less than you. Well, I don't know. That's not an accurate number. You had
Math is hard.
1,400. We had 14 people.
14.
Yeah. It was my family, another family, and then another family. But one of the families is the Sapanaros, who live near you, and they came over. That's my sister-in-law and her family. They came and stayed with us for quite a few days throughout the week because the school was out locally, and so we had our own turkey trot. But we also had another family, local family here in Glenwood, that joined us as well. So we had 14 of us run a turkey trot that I marked out on the bike path of 1.55 miles down around a cone and run back. This is the third annual family turkey trot. I don't want to brag or anything. That's why I was asking about winning times, because I am the reigning champ. I have 3 crowns now for the family turkey trot. I don't feel like I'm going to go down anytime soon. I thought maybe the Saponaro daughter, who ran cross country as a junior this year for Windsor, might have taken me out, but she decided to walk with my older daughter. So I got off easy. So I didn't have
Did
to
you
race
bribe
too hard.
her? Were
No,
you
I
like, let
didn't.
me win this and I'll give you an
I
extra
was,
piece of pie?
no, not at all. It would have been interesting. It could have been a really good showdown, but she didn't want to challenge it. But our Thanksgiving was great. We went to somebody else's house, which is always nice. We didn't host this year, so it was nice just to bring something, show up, and leave without having to do all the other stuff, right? And the only thing I do miss from that, though, is we didn't have very many leftovers, right? So like no snacks the next morning or even that night. You fill yourself up,
So you're
but
not the
for
guy
some
that
reason
shows up with like Ziploc baggies and you're like, thanks for hosting.
they tried to, but we were one of the last to leave. So there were slim pickings on the leftovers. But my family is not a leftover eater, even though they're going to tell you differently. So I wound up consuming it all as leftovers. So that's the story. But Thanksgiving's over. It is December 2nd already, and you're on to the next project, and it is a
Mm-hmm.
Move Through the Darkness. So
Mm-hmm.
that just started yesterday. I signed up late last night. I saw Nick is already in the lead with like
Yeah.
28 miles. He ran 28 miles yesterday. What is this guy doing?
Yes, I don't know. He's trying to win across the years. I don't know. I swore that he was done with his long runs. And then yesterday he said he was going to run somewhere between 20 and 25 miles. And then he got done with 28. And I was like, what does your coach think? He doesn't have a coach, but he was feeling great. He ran, I think he's just trying to take the lead on Move Through the Darkness, which he's up. So you've got some miles to get in there.
Well, I'm right on his tail. I did 4.5 with the dog, so I'm right there, right behind him. I'm going to catch up any second.
Yeah, so if you guys are listening, check out movethrough.org. It's a really good time to get signed up for a challenge. A lot of us that are listening maybe don't need that extrinsic motivation to sign up for something in the winter to keep us moving because maybe it's already part of our routine, but it's just basically a challenge where you pledge number of hours and miles to run or exercise. December 1st through the end of January is the time frame, and it's free. It's open to everyone nationwide, and every week we'll have a live kind of Zoom call, Instagram live with a motivational speaker, different presenters on different topics. And really, if you're listening, I'd say the purpose of doing this is so that you can tell others about the importance of moving through these winter months when we see a decrease in physical exercise, especially outside, and an increase in suicide rates, mental health diagnoses, seasonal affective disorder, Brian and I were lucky enough to spend time with friends and family this Thanksgiving, but unfortunately, that is not always the case for everybody. And so we just want to be mindful of that it is not always the most joyous and happy season for people. In fact, a friend of mine yesterday let me know that her nephew, who's a 17-year-old, took his own life in Weld County here this past weekend.
Mm.
And so the timing and the reminder is that there's always someone struggling, and we can do more to spread the word about what we can do to take care of our mental health. And obviously, running can be a key component of that, or movement, just movement.
Yeah, it helps. Every little bit helps. It's not therapy. We know running isn't therapy, but just community, just being part of something. And quite honestly, listeners, you guys listening, it's free, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like I ran last night in the park. I ran loops. I ran a half a mile loop around the park, 45 minutes while my daughter was at dance class. But I did it in the dark with the headlamp and the dog. The dog loved it, but I was a little iffy. There was some sketchy spots with ice, but
Mm-hmm.
it's better than streets. So I figured at least I knew where the ice was after the first half mile loop. In any case, it's free. It's community driven. It's inclusive. Come sign up. Come join in. Come show up for Tuesday nights. Tell us about Tuesday nights, Mandy. What's going on Tuesday nights in general?
So every Tuesday night at 7 p.m., we will go live on Instagram. So if you're following Run Windsor CO on Instagram, we will have a speaker on. And so you can just listen, you can watch, you can ask us comments, questions on that live feed. And it will be topics of mental health, the reason why we're doing this, physical training, running advice. Brian is going to come on and be a speaker. We've got a nutritionist. We're looking for someone that is a sleep specialist. So if you are in the specialty of sleep, and so just talking all these different topics that kind of fuel knowledge into why we're doing this and how do we just get through these winter months.
Last year, my daughter was playing club volleyball, and I joined the Move Through Darkness Challenge. And I was running between like 6 and 8 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then Saturday afternoons. But in a town next to me, not in the town I currently live in. So I was showing up, dropping off my daughter for volleyball. It's kind of far enough away that I don't want to turn around and drive home and drive back. So I was running from 6 to 8 p.m. through the darkness, literally, while listening to the show or participating in the recordings and the information and the webinars, seminars. Yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed it. It really does bring a sense of community. I think there's quite a few people I saw already from the sign up list, which is just opened up or fairly new, obviously December 1st, that there was people from all over the place. There's quite a few, obviously, from northern Colorado, but I did see Wisconsin and Florida and some other states represented already. So definitely get yourself in there and come and join and be a participant. We'd love to have you.
Yeah, thanks, Brian.
All right, so we're able to shift gears. How much extra gear does Nick have? I know how much you have, but how much extra gear does Nick have in the garage that he's really not using, Mandy?
That's funny. He's a bad example, Brian.
All right,
Nick,
all
I
right.
wish I had a pair of his shoes to show you guys. I feel like we're always picking on him, but he is not a hoarder when it comes to running gear. He uses everything until its last string, literally, wears his shoes down to the sole. So our next guest would not be interested in any of Nick's gear, probably at all. Like maybe a couple of his key pieces, but we all know that it takes a lot of gear, right? So even if he doesn't keep a lot of it, we've gone through a lot of it. But it sounds like you have a lot of vests that you're not using. What are you going to do with them?
I do, Mandy. Our guest today, Jes, was sharing with us a concept of recycling and repurposing gently used, slightly used, or new gear in the trail running world. And she had mentioned, just off the cusp, she was like, "Oh, I got 5 extra packs in the garage that didn't work right or didn't fit right, or it was a backup plan for a different race, and now I don't do that type of race anymore." And so she's got this extra gear. And I was thinking 5, and she said it like matter of factly, like that's a lot. And I was thinking, gosh, I must have 15, if not 20. Shit you not. Like I swear I
So
have a
many.
garage full of gear. Yeah. And I've been in the sport
I
for a
only
while.
have
Don't get me
one.
wrong. What? How do you live like that?
I don't know.
You
I
guys
just
are,
have
you
I have
guys are,
my
you and
salt.
Nick are pretty good then, because I literally have a bucket full of backpacks, just backpacks and waist belts. And then I have another bin full of smaller more miscellaneous gears, extra
Mm-hmm.
headlamps and the flasks, the soft flasks, the hard flasks, all the things that we use in trail running. And I remembered a time when I was a child, before this world of ultra running exploded, where running literally was just the shoes on my feet, a pair of nylon shorts, and a cotton t-shirt. I used to race in cotton t-shirts back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
until somebody gave me a singlet, like a tank top singlet that was nylon as well. But other than that, I mean, like the times have changed. Like trail running is a huge market. I mean, I was just looking at watches. Watches are over $500 a pop for a fairly decent one. We have all this used gear that's just sitting around and wasting away. I like to try things, and sometimes they don't work out. I like to try new packs, and I'm like, it just didn't work for me, or it just didn't fit right, or I'm not flexible enough to get the bottles out from over there. I need to get them
Mm-hmm.
out from up here, and so like that pocket didn't work, although I wanted to try it out. So what do I do with all this gear? And Jes has the solution.
Yeah, so Jess wants your stuff, which is so cool to hear because right now we're in the holiday season and all the ads we're seeing are buy, 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 buy. And Jess is like, no, I want to buy your things. 30-second commercial is that this story is really awesome. She talks about her process. Don't get grossed out. Don't have the ick face that Ellie and I had last week when
Mm.
Brian first told us about we're going to talk to someone who's reselling ultra gear. I was like, that sounds disgusting. But she's really taking this with a lot of quality control and effort to make sure that what she's going to put back out into the market is, like Brian said, worn once, worn twice, very gently used, isn't smelly, simply didn't work out for someone, but you can't take it back and resell it or return it back to REI or wherever you got it from. So she is looking to build up her inventory first, and then it sounds like hitting the market to where then we can go back to Take to Trail is the business name, and actually go out and shop for a vest or a pair of running shoes, which I love for all of us that are experienced, someone like Brian who's had the need to buy 20 plus vests, or someone new to sport that is looking at the cost of race entry fees and now I've got to buy shoes and got a vest and flask, but what if I don't even like it? Or, man, this is just expensive. I can't afford it.
That's right. It's a passion project, and I think the bigger picture really it's a use it again sports type of platform, right? It's repurposing gear that maybe we have in our possession that isn't really getting used, and it's gonna go to a landfill, right? So it's helping the environment. It's also helping breaking that barrier to the entry level athlete currently, right? Like it's going to be a cheaper entry. She goes into this whole spiel about this $400 starting process, which when I was a kid was just a $60 pair of shoes that I ran in, and the cotton T-shirt that the track club gave me. The market for this stuff is just exploded, and the costs are huge. Quite honestly, they are. $200 pair of shoes, a $200 backpack. And, gosh, I mean, I don't even think you could get away with maybe a $300 watch if you needed a watch for Strava purposes, right? So you're in it for $700 at this point, and you might not even like it. Like it might not even be your thing. You might realize, you know
Mm-hmm.
what? I don't like this. I'm going to be a mountain biker and not a runner. Now, what do I do with the shoes, and what do I do with the backpack? So it helps break that entry level barrier for those new athletes.
Yeah, so overall, Jess's story is great. Excited for you to hear it. It's a win-win when it comes to time saving, taking care of our Earth, our planet, keeping things out of the landfill for longer, keeping it in use longer, and helping us be even better as a running community. And let's recycle some of our gear that isn't super smelly.
Check out take2trail.com. Go on there, send Jess your pictures, fill out the forms, sell her your gear. She wants to buy your gear. So without further ado, here's Jess, take2trail.com. Enjoy, and we'll see you soon. Hi, Jess. Thanks for taking some time out of your day to talk to us this morning. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I guess it's morning for us, but you're at almost 11 a.m., but it is afternoon for you in the East Coast, right? Where are you located at?
Yes, it is. I am in Connecticut, about 45 minutes outside of New York City.
Oh, great. Do you get to the city often?
Not since COVID. Prior to, yes.
Oh, good.
It became a little bit of a questionable place sometimes in the post-COVID days.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So now you're just cozy staying local.
Yep, very much so, very much so.
Just let's back up and talk a little bit about your ultra running, your running career, how it got sparked, and where you're at in the process.
I mean, running in general was all very accidental for me. When my kids were born, my husband and I had to do the standard taking of shifts so people could get to the gym. And the only place that offered a 5 a.m. class when it was my shift was a CrossFit gym. And CrossFit led to a Spartan Stadium race, and a Spartan Stadium race led to exploration of mud and dirt. And I climbed through the distances in the Spartan world until I made it through a Spartan Ultra. And then somehow I decided that I wanted to try the Toughest series when Tough Mudder had the overnight series. And I started with their 8-hour version, then it extended to a 12-hour version, and I did that. And at some point in my early phase, I realized my body was not liking the feeling of being hit by a truck that followed obstacle course racing. And I decided to take the obstacles out and focused a lot on running in circles. I've done a lot of backyard ultra and loop style races. I seem to prefer them, I think, because I don't like carrying as much stuff with me and the uncertainty that can come in a point-to-point ultra. And I've kind of settled into just running these days.
And so how many years have you been kind of in that ultra scene?
Probably around, probably since about 2016 was probably my first year running an ultra. And it was the first year that Spartan offered the Tri-State Ultra in North Jersey.
Oh, good old North Jersey. That's where I grew up. I know you're in a little bit outside the city. I was a little bit outside the city on the other side of you, almost directly opposite, quite honestly.
Yeah.
And so the backyard format has been super popular. The loop courses do allow you to carry way less gear, maybe even have less of a crew. Potentially, you just set up a chair and a cooler, and you could keep running your 2, 3, 5 mile loops. But for me, it's really challenging. I could easily get in my car and go home on a 5 mile loop. I feel like if you put me out there 50 miles and I have to make my way back, that's where the success for me comes in. So you know how many of those challenges yourself you've kind of worked through that process?
I mean, I will say that you have to go into it knowing that you are not going to make a decision to quit every time you go in. It's just not really an option. And there are different schools of thought about whether or not you should have a goal in mind related to distance or time, because once you have reached that goal that you set in your head, it is much harder to make yourself go out there. So trying to work with goals like, I'm going to go until I can't actually get back before the bell rings are really the most sustainable in that style of racing. And it's always difficult when you're doing a backyard ultra that changes course from day to night. And that is actually a place that got kind of sticky for me in races where it was trail during the day and road at night, because I don't love road running. And so to already be 12 hours into a race and suddenly doing what is basically a 2 mile out and back is really, really difficult, and has been the point where I have said, I don't want to do this anymore because I just didn't want to run back and forth on the same stretch of road for 12 hours overnight just to get back to a trail.
Mandy has a race called Weld Your Metal. It's a 2-mile loop. She's going to say it's 4 miles. Oh, look, she's got the cup going. I actually have my cup upstairs. But I showed up this year. It's on Memorial Day weekend, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, because I also went to the Yankees game, and Rockies Yankees game, that same weekend while I was on that side of the state in Colorado here. But where I'm going with it is that it's a 2-mile loop, and then you hit the backside of the aid station, and you turn around and come back the other 2 miles in the opposite direction. So Mandy might say it's a 4-mile loop, but I'm still going to call it a 2-mile loop. We're splitting hairs here. But yeah. I showed up there in May with the idea of doing 100K, right? And man, I found the easiest excuse. It was cold, dark, and rainy, and I only did 50 miles and then drove to Denver for the Rockies game the next morning. So I still find it challenging. Like I don't have that ability just yet, but I like your suggestions on how to get there instead of every time doesn't have to be the quitting time. Every lap doesn't have to be the quitting time.
For sure. And then, it's great to practice doing a backyard ultra format by using your car as an aid station and planning a route for yourself of similar distance and or elevation profile, because then you have the practice of having shown back up at your car, and literally all you have to do is get in. And if you deny yourself that in training, it's a little easier to deny yourself that in the race.
I do have a couple athletes that love that last man standing backyard ultra format, and I do prescribe that for their training. How about you, Mandy? What boat are you in? Are you able to muscle through it, or are you going to get in the car and go get Starbucks?
Yeah, I don't. So that's the question. I need to try it, Brian. I've never participated in one, so as Brian mentioned, I do host one as a race director. So I probably should try one because it's cruel of me to stand there and have people run for 36 and 48 hours in a loop without ever having done it before. I love that training advice. I don't think it's for me initially, but that's not to say I wouldn't give it a shot and enjoy it. I think I'm of Brian's mindset of drop me off and have me just, get to that point. I like not having the option, but I think like anything, like we choose these because we like the challenges. So I think that's a unique, challenging piece of the backyard format. But talking about training, like Nick, my husband, is training for the last person standing it across the years. And I remember last year, one day he was training and I was working from home all day, and he would leave the house and come back and leave the house and come back and leave the house and come back. And I think he had another drop spot somewhere 2 miles away. So he would run from here to 2 miles and he had stuff stashed there, would restock, take his little, 2 to 5 minute break, come back to the house, come in the kitchen. And that I was so impressed because like I would, halfway or all the way through the day, I'd for sure be like, I'm home. I'm warm, I'm cozy, like that's it. It's good enough. So I think the mental part of that training would be so important to your point.
And I will say, I have to give Tough Mudder some credit for my ability to have participated in backyard ultras, because during COVID, they hosted a virtual toughest. And as it happened, it was my 10th anniversary weekend. And my husband crewed me all night long. In that format, we were all doing 5-mile loops wherever it was that we lived. There were groups of people that did, do them in locations as a group. There were people that did them in the treadmill, but we needed to have video evidence of our completion of obstacles because they came up with some of the world's most ridiculous obstacles, but things that everyone would be able to do as long as you had access to, I believe it was plastic cups, tennis balls, and a melon of at least 3 pounds. And so that was done based on the central clock because the toughest that it was replacing was in the central time zone. So we started, I want to say it was 9 p.m. my time because that was 8 p.m. central, and all night long for 12 hours, every 5 miles, I came home. So not only was it, like a backyard ultra, you still have to break down your stuff and get in the car and off and go to a hotel. This was like, I could go inside and go to bed at any moment. And as it happened, that was one of my most successful races, and it was an amazing time. And I think that gave me the bravery to attempt a backyard ultra.
That's so interesting. I think that I love the idea that they created that for the community during the COVID and the crisis. Obviously, we were all struggling to find something to do, right, and stay active. I participated with Bigger Than the Trail in K, a self-created 50K. I have a hayfield next to me. It's actually not my hayfield, but there's a hayfield next to me. and I ran a 1K loop in using my front porch as the aid station. And for some reason, I was able to do that 50 times in COVID. I was raising money and doing it for a bigger cause. But left to my own devices at Mandy's race, I couldn't run another 4-mile loop in the rain at night last year.
Those conditions were horrible, though. I mean, I didn't want to race direct anymore, and I wasn't even running. I was like, oh, someone please end this. But also, for both of you, what you were saying, Jess, kind of made me think of it. I've done the Goggins 4x4x48 challenge many times, and that kind of reminds me, like, that would be good training. Have you ever done that challenge?
I haven't actually done it because I think I like to sleep a little too much. 2 full days of not necessarily getting a solid chunk of sleep is just not my flavor.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if ever comes around and you want to try something, I really do enjoy it. So maybe I would enjoy the backyard type, because it's that same mentality of, you get that teaser of you go home and you get to sleep, but it's for like, it's just not a lot of time, and then you have to get up and get going again. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll throw one of those into this year, but
there are some goodies out there to do. So
Jess, I want to shift gears a little bit. Thanks for sharing all that. But right behind you, if you're watching the video, there are just a bunch of shoes and boxes on the wall. And it looks like over on the right, your left-hand side, the right-hand side, there are some baby backpacks stacked in a cubby up above you. Let's talk a little bit about take2trail.com and what it's all about, where the vision came from, and just give us like maybe the 10,000 foot until we break it down and start talking a little bit deeper about it.
Sure. So Take Two Trail is definitely a mission-driven business to keep trail running gear out of landfills and at the same time make the sport a little bit more approachable to everyone. Synthetic materials, which are what all of the stuff we love, except for the most part, wool socks, the synthetics don't break down in landfills. And in ultra running in particular, and trail running, there tends to be a ton of gear experimentation. And what I found is I had heaps of gear that was in perfectly good condition that I wasn't using because, the quarter zip irritated the bottom of my chin, or the shoe that I loved for a 10-mile outing at 15 miles started blistering me. And so certainly wasn't going to be a shoe that I was going to approach a 50K or a 50 miler or more in. And I didn't want to just donate these things to Goodwill, because the reality of specialty gear going into Goodwill is that it ends up in a landfill or an incinerator the vast majority of the time. I know that there are some communities where if trail running is really big and people donate stuff to Goodwill, people do go there looking for it. But I happen to live in an area where it's just not that big of a sport. So it would all just, go in the garbage. And at the same time, there is a need to find a way to get people onto a trail for less than $400. And the reality of someone deciding that they want to go for their first 10-mile trail run because they've been a road runner forever and they enjoy hiking and they decided they want to go out in the woods, but they don't own a trail shoe, they don't own a hydration pack, to get just those 2 pieces of gear very often is close to $400, because most of the trail running shoes that people are running in are $150 to $200. Most of the packs are in a fairly similar price range. And that's a really big expense for most people to approach something that they may do one time and realize they don't love. And so my mission is to purchase from people the stuff that they have used once, twice, 3 times, or purchase to leave in a drop bag because they didn't know if they needed their headlamp in drop bag 4 or 5, and sell those things for a drastically reduced price. I'm shooting for somewhere between 40 and 60% off of items' original list prices, so that it really is an economic decision for people. And it doesn't then have to be just for someone that maybe can't afford the $180 pair of shoes. It's for the person that is coming up on their first race in the desert, and all of a sudden they need ice bandanas that they're not sure they'll use again. They're doing a loop style race and they know that, because of their personal running style, they really need to get in and out of their transitions quickly. And so having a second pack might be worthwhile for them. And having all of this extra gear that is not necessarily something that they're going to use on a day-to-day basis and or want to store, stockpile, clean, deal with in any other way, I want to buy those things from people because I want to give them a new life. And I'm not looking to have enormous profit margins and things like that. Like I said, it is a mission-driven business and it's a passion project. And I'm excited about having a passion project that will preserve our environment for future generations.
Jess, that's so awesome. I love that purpose-driven mission for the business. Is there something that skyrocketed this for you? Another business that was doing it, or where did this idea come from?
It came from a combination of recently packing for Javelina and looking through my things and going, I mean, I have 5 packs and I don't use 5 packs. And if it didn't make it into my gear bin for Javelina, I was like, I probably don't need to hold on to this thing. I know one of the vests that I cast off the island is one that a lot of people really, really, really love. And I don't understand it because every time I wear it for more than 2 hours, it chafes the bejesus out of my rib cage. So there was a little bit of that. And then a recent meetup with a friend who had purchased another actually very popular belt system from a running store in Texas, even though she's based in Connecticut, because it was sold out on the brand's website. It was sold out on Amazon, and she had heard such amazing things. And she bought it and she hated it. And she contacted the store in Texas to try and return it. And they were like, we can give you a store credit. But for someone in Connecticut to have a store credit at a store that doesn't have an enormous online offering wasn't necessarily worthwhile to her. And then in the process of negotiating with them about what they could do for her, she lost the cap to one of the bottles. And I was like, I can take that off of your hands because I know I can sell it to someone who for $2 can go to the original seller, or well, the brand of the belt, the manufacturer, and purchase that lid for $2. And then they scored an enormous deal on the belt itself that's sold out, hard to get, and everyone except for my one friend loves, and put it to use and, use it until it's worn into the ground. And at that point, if there's proper disposal mechanisms and things like that, that I'm trying to align Take Two Trail with, and we'll see what happens. But the reality is the longer we use stuff, the less quickly it makes its way into a landfill. And it also has implications for the companies that make our gear to make it more durable, to make a lower volume of it because it's going to be used for longer. And yes, that has sales implications for those businesses also. But good stewardship of the environment for any outdoor sportsman or outdoor based business has to be part of the equation.
Yeah, I'm completely guilty as well, Jess. I have, when you said 5, I thought that was on the low end because I probably have way more than that in bins, in boxes, in the garage. And I don't like them. You're exactly right. Like, it's something I tried, I bought, it was the new shiny thing. I ordered it, I got it in my size. That size didn't work. I got the size up or the size down, and that one actually worked. And so now I'm stuck with this extra one, right? And so I just leave it in the garage thinking, oh, someday some athlete that I coach is gonna, say, oh, I really wish I had that pack, right? It's never happened. I think I mailed one off ever. But most of the time it sits in a bin in my garage, and it's just taking up space when it can be used and should be used by somebody that might appreciate it more than I have.
Right. And the shoes that are in boxes behind me are not shoes that I purchase new for the purpose of selling. They literally, one pair is a pair of speed goats because I realized that the foot shape on Hoka's doesn't work for me because I switched to a natural foot shape a bunch of years ago. And I thought I was going to make it work because everyone in the ultra world loves the freaking speed goat. It not me. So they're brand new because I started with the Mafate because I was going to decide between the two. The Mafates, I wore them enough that I could not resell them. But then this pair of speed goats, by the time I made that decision, I had passed the return date and they're brand new. And someone is going to love them, and someone's going to love that they're going to pay half price or less for them. So,
how long have you been collecting stuff, Jess? How long have you been collecting this slightly used gear? What does your inventory look like currently? And are you the only person behind the scenes currently, or how does that look?
Well, right now I am definitely the only person that is actively sourcing product for the business. I obviously have, well, maybe not obviously, but I have outsourced things like web development because I know my lane, and social media stuff, because if you look at social media prior to today, that's my doing. It's not very good. And so I've recently brought someone on to help me out with that stuff. In terms of taking in inventory, I would say aside from the initial pull from my stuff, which happened maybe 6 weeks ago and was at least 30 items, I've been actively taking in inventory for about 4 weeks. And in that time, I went to a small local race that with 107 participants, I took in about 50 items. So, that is a pretty good haul, I would think, for what that work is. And then I've been posting about this business on every Reddit, subreddit, Substack, Facebook group, Instagram, anywhere I can. And again, because I'm not great at social media, I don't even necessarily know all the nooks and crannies of the internet where I can tell people about this. But I will tell anyone that is listening that I want to buy their gently used and like new gear that they forgot to return.
So this is really brand new, which is awesome. It's fun to hear the story like right as it gets started. I'm a entrepreneur to the heart. I love marketing. I love community outreach and involvement. So I'm excited to hear how you market this. But initially, as it stands right now, like explain to us what the process looks like. So I want to sell to you my new pair of Hokas that I've worn once. How does that work?
So you would go to take2trail.com, and it is the number two. And there is a sell your gear tab on the top, and you click that sell your gear tab, and it leads you through a series of fields to complete, telling us what the item type is, what the model is, if you know what the model name or number is, and then your assessment of what the condition of the item is. And it's basically new, like new, and gently used, and there's explanations on the website that will help guide you to determine what is the proper one. You submit pictures of your item. I do ask for 3 pictures of shoes because I want to see the condition of the sole, see it from the side, and see it from the top, because from those I can do a pretty decent analysis and see if I agree with you about the condition of the item. Other items, front and back for the most part, is all that I'll need. And then within 36 hours, I will shoot you an email and ask or suggest a number that I'm willing to pay you for the item. You can then accept or decline that amount. If you accept that amount, I will send you a label to send it to me. My hope is that since we're all guilty of buying half of our belongings on Amazon, that you have a poly mailer sitting around from another purchase that you can send your item to me in. However, if you don't, I can actually send you the label on a poly mailer. So you just have to stuff it and send it off. When I receive the item, I inspect it and make sure that everything is as expected. I've yet to receive anything particularly odoriferous, but if I did, I might say that your item that you thought was like new might be gently used if I believe I can get the funk out. And then I might suggest a new price because then it's not necessarily what we had agreed on. And then I will pay people by Venmo or Zelle.
I love that. Pretty streamlined. That was going to be my question is it's going to happen, I'm sure, more and more as you kick this business off, but it'll be really fun to hear the things that you get and you're like, wow, this is really new. Or you get something and you're like, wow, this looks new, but it does not smell new.
Right. And the reality is, I have over the years sold a number of things on peer-to-peer sites. I've used eBay before, I've used Facebook Marketplace, and I've had so many negative experiences dealing with those platforms. In fact, I did early on, maybe the first week or two after I thought of this business idea, start perusing the peer-to-peer sites for opportunities to purchase inventory. And I bought a pair of sneakers that were listed as gently used off of Poshmark. And when they came, there was like barely any tread left on half of the shoe. And it was just strategically photographed so you could never see that. And I, hadn't rushed to open the package. And so by the time I opened this item and discovered that the condition was not what was sold to me, it was too late for me to return it even on, on Poshmark. And when you sell something on Facebook Marketplace, I mean, if it's a popular item, it is not uncommon to get 50 people within 2 days just saying interested. And so you have to look at those 50 interested replies and say like, and you're interested in like, do you want to play Let's Make a Deal? Do you want to arrange to pick it up? Like, what are we talking about? So then maybe you've had 40 interactions to just get someone to say, yes, I'd like to buy it. I can meet you on Tuesday. And then you go and meet them on Tuesday, or you make an agreement about shipping things and they never send the payment, or you show up at said parking lot and they're not there. And so you're back to square one. And like you were trying to make $10, and so like who there are people that have time to deal with those sites. But the reality is, if you take an ultra runner and their training load and you add it on top of the fact that very many of us are in the parenting years and have, kids and families and full-time jobs, people don't have time to spend 14 hours dedicated to making even $50, because most of us would earn $50 if we went to, minimum wage, I think, is above that. Even if you went to your minimum wage job, you would make more than $50 in 14 hours. So why would you invest all that time to sell the item?
I am totally there. I don't want to bag on the marketplace, but I did sell a piece of weight equipment from my basement over the weekend. It was $25. It's one of those like Roman chair things. You got your arms, you could like do the pull-ups and the push-ups, but I got all the pieces separate already. So this was like overkill, but I bought it with a package, so it came with it, and now it's just taking up space. It's big and bulky, doesn't fit in my space. So I'm trying to get it out the door, and I'm basically giving it away for $25. And you nailed it. I had 50 hits on it. Somebody actually, what is today? Tuesday? Sunday night, a gentleman paid me $25, but he said he can't come and get it for 2 weeks. So now I marked it as sold, but it's still in my basement. So I didn't solve the problem. I still have this giant piece of weight equipment in my basement. And of course I got the money for it, but I'm like, what do I do with it now? It's snowing outside at my house. So it's not like I could just put it in the driveway and wait for him to show up, because now like I don't want to ruin it, So yeah,
I will say
it's a racket. It's just everywhere and nowhere.
And sometimes even giving things away on social media is a pain in the rear end. My studio, I guess now it's a warehouse, but the space that I am currently sitting on or in is from my prior career as an event designer. And in the process of trying to turn the space over, I must have given away 50, not 50,000. Okay. I gave away 250 pieces of glass vases, candle holders, things like that. I gave away cake plates for days, crafting supplies. Just giving these things away took forever. It took me 2 weeks of making appointments with people, putting things on my porch. Like, I'm giving you this stuff for free. You told me put it out Tuesday for 2 p.m. I wake up on Wednesday morning and it's still on my porch. And you're like, you didn't even have to pay for it. All you had to do is swing by and pick it up. So, the world is full of busy people. And I'm just trying to give people, a platform where they can solve for their busy and recoup some of their losses on things that they forgot to return or didn't work out for them.
Just, I love the concept. I think it's just great. I think it's needed in the space too. We are generally, as humans, just consuming the heck out of everything currently, and ultra running is no exception to the problem. Unfortunately, ultra running is growing 300% year over year, and that means more people are buying more ultra running products and having maybe boxes full of it in their garage that inevitably will make their way to the landfill. So hopefully this might be the alternative.
I very much expect you on the backside of this to go through and look and send me your gently used and like new goodies. And I'll pay you for them.
I need to bring it. Like, I need to like organize it and do the pictures and do all the things, because it's just thrown in boxes in the garage right now. Jess, where do you see the biggest opportunities maybe in the next 6 months? And then where do you see like the 5-year plan for this passion project of yours?
Well, that is very interesting. I think in the next 6 months, and I'm going to give myself an extension to 7 months, because I am super excited to have secured a place at TrailCon in Palisades, California. It used to be Squaw Valley, is now Palisades, which is the trail conference, basically, that is the week before Western States. So it has an enormous audience of not only runners, but other running related and outdoor related brands and race directors and people in social media. And I am going to have my booth there. My hope, and I have not completely worked these details out with TrailCon, but my hope is to be able to take in inventory there and also sell inventory there, because particularly when you travel for a race, it is not uncommon to show up and realize that the forecast changed drastically since you left home and you don't have a windbreaker, and you'd really like a windbreaker, but like you don't want to necessarily buy a $250 windbreaker because it's not even a windbreaker. You're like, you go through all these iterations, and there's a reason that someone might need a $15 windbreaker that's just going to get them through, the storm, literally. And so that is it's funny, I was going to say golden ticket, and with Western states, that's just way too cliche. But that's the event that I'm most excited about getting to. And until then, I am attending smaller local races. I'm certain I will probably in the spring branch out a little further than my probably 2-hour radius that I'm existing in for the time being to take in more inventory. I hope to have the store side open in the first quarter of 2026. I don't want to open the store until I have literally thousands of items, because I want people to be able to come and see that there really is stuff out there that they can buy that is not smelly. It's not dirty. You're going to know if there's a snag in the fabric before it shows up on your doorstep. You're going to, exactly what is or isn't wrong with the item. And it's not going to be like you open up the package and you're like, that's not really what I had in mind. Like, you sold me this supposedly like new Nathan vest, and like it has a rip down the back. That's not going to happen with Take Two Trail. I'm very much leaning into my personal identity. I am very fortunate in pretty much all regards, and I know why I haven't used secondhand things in the past. And it's very often because you get them delivered. I've purchased things off of eBay and they've come covered in cat hair, and I've been like, ew. I've gotten things that are knockoffs. I have gotten things that are just not what they're promised to be. And my intent is to screen every single item I sell and know that it is something I would put on my body. So I'm hoping that people can understand that while I might be a little bit bougie, that will have a benefit for everyone, because they're only going to get something that the bougie girl would use.
I really hope to see you at TrailCon. I wouldn't be there for TrailCon, but the timeliness of this episode is that Saturday is the Western States Lottery. So hopefully I'm in the lottery, and then I could buy that extra windbreaker from you at TrailCon just before the race.
There you go. That would be super exciting. And then as far as the 5-year plan, the name is not by accident. It is Take Two Trail, and it is starting with trail running because that's the trail worlds that I know best. But trail also indicates mountain biking. So there's the potential for mountain biking gear. There's the potential for mountain bikes themselves. There is the whole world of backpacking, and backpacking kind of branches into camping. Camping can branch itself into things like overlanding. There will definitely be considerations down the road for large ticket items like bikes, like overlanding equipment, like maybe, large tents or other equipment, because I don't want people shipping those things back and forth across the country, because then we're, not necessarily upholding our end of the deal as an environmentally conscious business. So there might come a consignment model for something like that, but that is in the future. Up front, everything is going to come through my hands and be screened. And then the reality is Take Two Trail can become Take Two Road, and Take Two Road could become Take Two Youth Sporting Equipment, which is something that all parents have lamented, purchasing the $2,000 worth of lacrosse gear for your kid that's not even going to make it through the season. And you have this brand spanking new lacrosse stick that doesn't even have a grass stain on it, and you need to get rid of it. And so there's no reason that, next year's 9Y lacrosse players shouldn't have that stick.
Yeah, Jess, I think it's gonna grow. I think there's a market, like you said, in every piece of this. Even like the tri world, I have friends that are always asking me, you run a lot, so surely you know someone that wants to do tri. I've got this awesome new wetsuit, but I'm like, I don't really know anyone that's going to want that. But to have a connection, and I think as a race director, I'm really excited for you to go to TrailCon. Like, that is going to be a huge hit, because a lot of the issues that we have as race directors is, how do we remove barriers to get people into sport? Is it having a good coach we can recommend that they can go to for tips and tricks or a training plan? Is it removing the mental barriers, emotional barriers? Is it, what do you do for gear when you've got sticker shock, when you're looking at race entry fees are expensive, shoes are expensive, gear is expensive, and to have a reliable source that is going to build up this reputation of having good quality gear across the industry, I think it's a huge untapped market. And I think when you're talking to race directors, your ad partner, that's how I would see you from my own company, is I wouldn't ask anything in return. I would just say, can I put your information on my website? So when someone goes to sign up for Weld Your Metal and they look at pictures and think, oh gosh, it was a rainy mud storm, 48 hours, I might need 3 pairs of shoes, but I can only afford one. here's that ticket. So I'm really excited for that. That sounds awesome.
Thank you. I'm really excited about the possibilities of it also, because there are so many people that really do have sticker shock over the cost of ultras these days. And then, they add the travel on top of it, and it just becomes too much. And it shouldn't be that way for people to go play in the woods. The woods are open for free. So if we can find a way to get more people into them while also leaning on the sustainability and conservation efforts, I think that's awesome. I would love to see Take Two Trail offering gear scholarships to athletes in the future. Once I have a nice hefty inventory and I know that I can outfit any shape and size human being, to be able to say, like, let me provide your race kit, or let me work with a race director to provide you a race kit and figure out how to get you a reduced cost entry. Whatever it is. Trail running, it's funny, I say on all of my local Facebook running groups, where I'm basically the only trail runner, I make cracks about, let me bring you over to the dark side, because we all know that's what happens in the woods. Things are a little bit different, and they're a little more fun. They take a little more focus, but once you get your feet settled, it's a great place to be, and it has so much benefit beyond just the physical. And I think it's exciting that Take Two Trail is going to help bring people over to the dark side.
Yeah, I love it. I love the branding. I love the concept. I love that you have a room to grow too. You could, make it a household name, like, kayaks. I mean, just the world of sporting goods stuff, used sporting goods stuff is endless, and the possibilities are endless. And I love that you're starting with trail, because that's where we find our passion, Mandy and I, and yourself, in sport. I'm curious about the growth. I guess, how many pieces do you currently have? You're looking at starting in the first quarter. I'm just wondering if you're gonna, do you have a plan for, if you grow too fast? I guess is really more of the concern. I'm thinking off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done an actual count because I have so many flasks. I haven't even added up how many flasks have come my way. And it's actually interesting in the flask world, because that is going to end up being my first sale. I ran into a woman at a race 2 weeks ago, and she had bought one of the Solomon Women's Fit vests, and they come with a particular shape of flask, but they don't sell it separately. Now, the vest that I did not love happened to be one of those vests that came with those flasks. And I was like, I will just sell you my flasks, because she loves them and they're of no value to me whatsoever. And flasks are a thing where people have like a legitimate preference because of how they sit and where they're going to actually store them. Yeah, I would guess I probably have around 1,000 pieces. And in terms of addressing the growth issue, I mean, boy, do I hope that this thing explodes at a pace that I'm like, what am I going to do? I am working with some people on developing technology for my website that will help streamline the process of my taking in gear and create some efficiencies for me there. Right now I'm working with a manually compiled database where I have, I think, every known trail shoe that's been produced in the last 2 to 3 years, what they're currently selling for at full price, what they sell for on eBay and other peer-to-peer sites in general, and then taking a percentage of that as what I want to be my sale price on it. What percentage would I then pay based on the item's condition? And so building some technology surrounding that process will definitely help me to take in greater numbers of things. Right now, the site is set up to have single submissions. I'm hoping to expand that as actually one of the first things that I do to enable people to submit, because it literally is a Shopify shop. So you could go onto the website in your, garage with your bins right now and fill it out as you go through your stuff. And having multiple submissions on one would just, prevent you from having to repeat entering your name and your address over and over again, and what payment method you want. As for, other growth, I think that for the most part, existing back end apps on Shopify can handle. So it's really going to come down to how rapidly I can digest the things that people want to sell me.
Yeah, that's something that I see a lot of trends in, like just business development, operations, inventory, that I see AI being able to help you out with. And I'm assuming whoever you're having help you out with that, I think there will be a lot of back-end integration that will continually update prices, inventory, what's out there in the market. And I think if you remove those barriers for yourself, the bottleneck that's going to come with this whole initial inventory piece, I think like Brian said, I think it's going to explode. And I mean, I'll sell you 5 things today because, like
From
you said,
your lips to God's ears.
so many of us we just don't have time. I mean, before this call, I was complaining to Brian about how do I even have time to put mascara on before this podcast, because I'm trying to run in the morning and get my kids to school and make a breakfast and be a business owner and all the things. I think it'll be a fun for you to get through that process, and then I think you're going to be blown away at how fast it'll take off.
Yeah, it's been really interesting because I started outlining all of the decision points that go into my deciding what an item's condition might be. And there are so many of them. You know, the first time, like with the sneakers that I bought on Poshmark, I mean, I did go back and look at the pictures. I was like, I'm not crazy. I did not miss that there was no tread on this shoe. They just didn't picture it. But I'm going through and outlining, you know, I want AI to look at the degree of tread left throughout the sole, the amount of squish when you look at most of it's particularly the shoes people wear for ultras on the foam, you know, the lines that develop kind of through the heel and the midfoot, those give me an idea of how much wear there is. From the top view is the almost all of our shoes have the brand name written on the insole. So looking at the insole, if it still says Solomon or it still says Topo Athletic, that tells me a little bit more about the wear. Things like staining are something that I'm definitely going to be looking at. I mean, staining on rubber seems to be really hard for me to undo. Staining on fabric uppers seems to be pretty easy for me to take care of. I'm asking people to generally submit their items to me, or their item, well, the item and the photo, in clean condition. But no one should look at their shoe and say, like, it's perfectly good, but it has this stain on the upper. There's no way this person's ever going to take this. I'm going to take it. I was just interacting with someone on Facebook Messenger the other day who had seen one of my posts, and she was like, I have this vest, it's great, but like, the elastic straps that come across the front, she was like, one of them is just totally shot. And I'm like, I'll take it still, because there are a degree of repairs that I can handle in-house, and will probably end up with, hopefully, an army of people that can disassemble the stuff that can't be resold to put that zipper into the pack, where the only thing that's wrong with it is that the zipper is a little sticky, or that elastic strap, they just need a new one. And you can take it off of another vest that may have seen barbed wire at a Spartan race and is otherwise on sale. But like, that front strap's still perfectly good, so why shouldn't it just go on another vest?
Jes, it sounds great. I love it. I want to get back to you personally just for a second. I love the concept. I will be in touch. I think Mandy and I are going to race to see who can sell you our stuff first. I usually win in most things, but maybe not this time. We'll see.
And for the time being, I am telling people that if they have a mass of items, they can email me. My contact information is on the website, just because I do understand that in the short term, only being able to submit one item at a time might be a pain in the rear end. And again, it's all about reducing the pain points.
That's great. We will link the website in the show notes, and it's take number 2 trail.com is the site.
You got it.
I'll also link it in the show notes. Just, this is such a huge passion project, but it's also in your best interest to show up to events. So what do you have coming up for yourself that you might be racing and buying some extra gear at these races? What's on your calendar for the next year?
Well, in New England, trail season is wrapping up. I actually hit my first icy wood bridges yesterday and was like, all right, it's time we start doing the twinkle toe dance. So I am this weekend going to a race, I believe it's Saturday, is December 6th, called the Tower Tag Challenge, which is a 4 or 8-hour option going up and down. I think it's like a 1.2 mile path with 600 feet of gain up a carriage road to a fire tower. And so I'll be there to take in gear. I'm not positive what my race schedule is going to be, because it's going to be massaged around Take Two trail activity, but I think I'm likely going to do a race called Rock the Ridge, which is a 50-mile race in the Mohonk Preserve in upstate New York. And it is an absolutely gorgeous race that will definitely show you where your quad durability is, because there, especially for New England, a 50-mile race with close to 5,000 feet of gain is a little gnarly. And then I will likely sign up for Javelina 100K. As much as I want to be there in a Take Two trail capacity, I have a little bit of unfinished business at Javelina. And so if, health and life permit, I would like to go and actually complete that race.
The Rock the Ridge race, I actually have, I've coached a couple athletes that have done that consecutively, and I'll have an athlete there this year already.
Fantastic. It's honestly, it's a great cause. The Mohonk Preserve is, for being less than 2 hours outside of New York City, it's an amazing gift for people to have. And that organization does a lot of good conservation wise, and they maintain, such an incredible space. It's actually where the Schwangunks are, which are big climbing. People love it's a big rock climbing hotspot. So it's actually cool. Part of the race towards the end, I think around mile 2, you hit a stretch where you're running under the rock wall as people are climbing. And it's actually, it's a little distracting. You're like, don't run off the cliff, but I'm looking up at you.
Well, that sounds great. We'll keep tabs on you for sure. We'll definitely keep tabs and be in touch with take2trail.com. And Jes, thanks so much again for your time. We wish you the best of success in 26 and beyond, and we'll be in touch soon. Thanks so much.
I really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jes.
Nice to meet you.